Hello everybody. This is Kirisho here, and now, before we do start, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. Now, Deku, he had a visitor at UA while he was trying to look after Nedre, who was recently brought back from the dead. Now, they encountered Mirio, and Mirio, he tried to make things quite clear. They know exactly what he's planning to do. They know every step he might make before he even makes it. And Izuku, yeah, he was sick and tired of this bastard coming around. He's met Mirio and he was trying to avoid exactly what happened next. Because Nejire, she heard the gunshot Chizuki fired when he came walking through the wall. And she encountered her old friend from before. Though Mirio, he's changed. He wasn't the same person. He seemed different. He talked about Tamaki, and he was casual about a lot of things. Whenever Mirio approached Deku, Deku got a strange feeling. He then went to strike Mirio, but sent out an attack using One for All, and this blew away the wall along with sent a massive gust of wind flying down the road. However, they heard this. Now, Deku, he's trying to get a lot of things figured out. Understand what to do. He had a plan to encounter All Might. He also had a plan to deal with a few other things. I mean, it's not a bad idea. But, let's put it this way. If he moves forward with his plan, Miria told him he'd basically be opening Pandora's box. But the person who told him this wasn't Mirio. It was something pulling the strings. Now, while that was all happening, there currently was Bakugo Katsuki. Bakugo, he has been annoyed about a lot of things. Their group does not have a lot of people left. Right now, they only have a few. We have Nedre, Chizuki, and Mei. They just left. Along with that, we do also have the fact that Momo and Todoroki are not there. So that leaves Bakugo, Setsuna, Eri, and Tamaki. That's 4 people left at the manor. So yeah, not including Kendo, that's 4. But including Kendo, that's 5. Only 4 people capable of using a gun. 4 people in a large house. And a kid. One of them is incapable right now of much physical movement. So, that number goes back down to 3. You tell me how bad that sounds, especially in this world. Now, this is not a very good thing. Bakugo has been thinking about opening up the manor to people at the bunker and possibly taking in refugees from other groups, moving them outside the city to be safer. Smaller groups have been disappearing, and Stain was talking to Bakugo on the sat phone about his current findings. However, he also reported about the gust of wind that came from UA. And Bakugo, yeah. They're trying to piece together exactly what might have happened to these people. In the last 5 months, he has been working hard, keeping up with his training. However, he's been wary to leave the manor. He has done so on occasion, going out for scavenging and trying to talk with and work with Stain. Stain doesn't see Bakugo in the very best of light. Deku, he was somebody who is willing to hate himself later, but survive. Bakugo, he's holding on to the way the world used to be, how he was before. Yes, he is willing to do a lot of things to survive, but he's not willing to do anything to ensure survival. And that is where he does have a problem with him. Deku, he seemed like somebody who knew what it was like to be at the bottom. Bakugo, he could tell from his personality. Arrogant, egotistical, wanting to be in charge. Deku took charge. He never asked for it. He just stepped up, gave suggestions, and made sure people knew what to do. He's heard stories about Deku, and a lot of them, they're gruesome. Some of his people were afraid of him, and that is for good reason. But he was on their side, so many of them also trusted him. Though the way he changed from what he's heard meant quite a bit. Now, with that being said, we do currently have a vehicle that does go to pull up to the manor. Currently, two people going to step out as they do go to undo the lock and get back in. Currently, them going to have the vehicle come inside the manor as we do have where they do try a lot of things. Them quickly going to reseal the gate, lock it back up, and move away. The zombies beginning to approach as right now they do try to get clear. Currently going to drive back down the road and up to the manor. Before Bakugo, he does stand there, trying to ask both Todoroki and Momo how things have been. Them getting out and talking about the messages they've been running back and forth. The bunker, they're willing to open communication and trade. However, with all the supplies they do have, they also want information. I mean, Todoroki and Momo have given a lot of information, a lot of things, and people at the bunker are well aware that their group are the ones that have control over the communication system in the radio station. Todoroki walking around to the trunk and going to pop it open. Bakugo looking down and seeing some ammunition, along with body armor, knives, and holy shit. Bakugo bringing his hand down, grabbing a bulletproof vest and staring at it. Turning and grabbing a tactical belt. I mean, this is insane. Is this everything? No. From what we were told, they have a lot more stockpiled. My dad said the Hero Association, they had a few days to prepare. I mean, it's crazy to think about. Days to... They knew this was going to happen? Bakugo, listen. They didn't know for sure. He shouldn't even have told me that, but just keep it under wraps. You're serious. They knew? I know. Bakugo, listen. This is not good. They knew something was up. Todoroki's dad, Endeavor, he's suspicious too. He's heard things he shouldn't have. If they find out that you know, Endeavor could get into a lot of trouble. Yeah, along with Miss Nagant. She's told us a few things. Todoroki looking a little uncomfortable, and Bakugo does get to see that. Momo turning and telling Todoroki maybe he should relieve somebody of guard duty. I mean, has anyone else come back? They are still missing Nejire, Mei, and the doctor guy, right? Yeah, we are. It's been 3 weeks. Seriously? Oh, what about Setsuna? I know. It's getting concerning. She's getting closer to that day. And we're not too sure what's going to happen there. Bakugo, We need Cheesy to be here. If he's not, it could be a problem. I know. Listen, I plan to go to UA today. Along with that, I'm going to be heading out to see if I can investigate some reports. Another group went dark recently. And worst part is, they did send something in. They reported casualties. It wasn't good. What do you mean? They radioed in. They talked about how one of their safe houses were compromised. They were staying there. They radioed into the tower. And then it just went dark. Person on the other end said they heard something, but we don't know too much. I'm going to try and investigate it, but hopefully I find survivors. You can't go out there alone. Let me or Todoroki come with you. It's fine. I won't be alone. I'll stay with me. Right now, you two just get some rest. Though, well, do whatever you want. Listen, Momo, I'm putting you in charge while I'm away. Kando's on guard duty right now, and I know she's not going to like me leaving alone. But I'll pick up Stain a few miles down the road whenever I see him. We've already talked on the radio. Along with that, I want you to, take care of things for me here. Yeah, I can do that. Bakugo turning to Todoroki, telling him. He seems to have a lot of things on his mind. Maybe he should get rest, do something different. I mean, they've still got some unpoisoned wine downstairs. You know, they have everything labeled, right? Yes, we do. The better stuff we're saving for ourselves. Okay, good. Todoroki, be careful with it, and you might be on guard duty tonight. We're still missing the other three. Though, if I do find anybody, I might be coming back with survivors. Are you serious? Yeah. Trust me, we've talked to this group enough. We should know some of them. If we don't, then I'll be careful. Then again, not much can really be known. I'm not expecting survivors. Bakugo turning back to the trunk. Him pulling out the belt and going to put it into his own loops. Before he does, he'll clamp it together and then grab one of these bulletproof vests. Thinking about taking it and having the thought go through his mind. He'd be dealing with infected. Maybe a vest would be good. Though, there's a few of these back here. The Hero Committee, yeah, no. He'll take it and wear one of Mae's jackets. They won't see it, so it'll be an assumption that they'll try to shoot him in the chest. Or the face. Don't think about that, Bakugo. Him, gonna turn. And Momo does look at Todoroki, trying to talk to him. Bakugo makes his way inside and getting a few things prepared. Packing a small bag before he does a leave. Currently, him driving up to the front gate and looking at a few of the infected. Pulling out a knife and going to get ready. Currently going to step forwards and go to stab his knife through the gate. Currently stabbing into one of their heads for him to move backwards. Some of them still being a groan, for he does begin to dispatch them all. Currently, the gate going to be slit open and Bakugo going to drive the car through. Him encountering the speed bumps and then going to close it behind him. Quickly trying to leave the manor. Now, Bakugo does going to make his way into the city. It's quiet. Very quiet. This city used to be a bustling economy. Loud. Bright. A lot of people. Though many of them are gone. They still haven't heard any communications from Nejire. they've got some from May. She sent in, well, some things, but he's not really too sure. It's strange. She's been communicating with Melissa, mainly. Code, I guess? Maybe. He doesn't. It's more technical than he understands, but they at least know that that group is alive. That thing posing as Izuku hasn't done anything to them. They're okay. This being the thing that does go through Bakugo's mind. And we do currently have at UA Mei Hatsume. She has spent the last few weeks getting a lot of things prepared. UA is a very interesting situation. They got access to some of the robots. Some of them were still functioning. A lot of them were damaged. Some were left in scrap. And others, they don't have power. So, this has been a bit of a challenge for May, but she's had to work with a lot less. Right now, however, she's been spending the last few weeks putting together the parts she can to make a generator. And that zero pointer that Deku destroyed during the exam, yeah, that thing's core, it's still intact. So, she's been able to get that thing hooked up properly to start powering up this place. The other zero pointers, they were able to get a quick charge. And hopefully that thing, well, those things, all of them, they can keep this place up and running for a while. It's going to be cutting it close. But if they can siphon all the power they can from the zero pointers, they can have an armory of smaller robots. But if they do try to funnel all the power they can into one of the zero pointers, they can have a few robots and a massive one. I mean, yeah. Right now the others are still shut down. May's just trying to use what she can. I mean, why bother having that thing charged up and have the battery drain? I mean, they can just give it a quick charge when they need it and then it'll be up and operational. I mean, just like a car. Jump the battery to get it going, get the juices flowing again. Then everything should be fine. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Though, she does relish the challenge. Currently, her stepping away from her latest project and staring at one of the three pointers. Her turning and bringing her hand up, grabbing onto a glove and pulling it over her hand. Her beginning to type away at a few things, messing with the homemade controller she created. And she has got to type a few things in. The three-pointer going to turn and begin to power up. It's trying to scan the area and examine a few things. And May does get a little giddy. Okay. So, let's see. She can just power it down for now and make sure to get started tomorrow on a few other things. She's been working for a while, so there's that. Okay. Maybe maybe another project though. That's an idea. This is going through her mind. Her turning and trying to chug down the rest of her coffee, wondering if they could go out and scavenge more of it. I mean, it'd definitely be much appreciated. And we do currently have over with Deku. Deku does sit on the rooftop of UA. Him thinking about a few things. Looking out and at the city. It's weird. It's strange. They're getting more things prepared. When those robots are operational, they're going to send them at the dam. I mean, it's definitely going to take some time. The best way to do this, though, if he's right, their people are still suffering from the effects of this poison supplies. But still, they've got weeks to wait around for those people to be infected. Months? Definitely months. Well, there must at least be some way of speeding this up, though. I mean, there must be infighting already in cases of people having to be ejected from the camp. The process is faster for some others, depending on how exposed they have been to the virus. The pathogen? The event. God, Cheesecake is rubbing off on him. Okay, whatever. That's another story, though. Once they get everything prepared, maybe talk to them? No, that's a stupid fucking idea. Okay, okay. If he is gonna do that, no, no. He's talking about people who are military. People who have seen this stuff up close and personal. They have convoys. Observe the dam. Find out more? Now that's an idea. The military is one of the largest groups out there. Aside from the Hero Association, they wouldn't expect someone to ambush them. He's seen smaller convoys be attacked. Okay, so head to the dam, find out their routes? I mean, he's taken out a convoy before, but that was only one Humvee. They must travel in more. So he's talking about automatic weapons, full auto, semi, and non-automatic pistols potentially. Okay, that is a problem. Those Humvees and the troops, they can all be tracked down. So there is that. High tech. Okay, okay. But he should be able to listen to it now. Hear it? Take out the trackers, and he doesn't technically need those people alive. Well, actually, if he does want someone to come to find him, bring one of them to UA. Dump the other bodies elsewhere. Okay, this idea is working in his mind. Bring the military to his doorstep? No. No, bring them back to their own. They wouldn't expect that. Give them back their own men. He needs to show a force. A way to show he's not someone to be fucked with. Okay. But if he does antagonize them, that does cause more problems. Not just for his old group. Okay. Looks like I have to put it on disguise again. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. He already looks too different. So, let's try and find a bandana. Clothes? Yeah, something to cover his face. This on Deku's mind. Him turning his head and hearing Nedre's heartbeat. Her walking out and asking him exactly if he's okay. I'm fine. Just thinking about a lot of things. Though, how are you? Deku turning his head and seeing that Nedre's hair has somewhat began to turn white, part of it still remaining blue. And this, it does have his attention. Her skin got a little bit more pale. That was really it. Though at the same time, her body, it does still know what it's like to be alive. She hasn't said it. She's not used to it yet. Not understanding this hunger she feels. Went hunting before. Just not for human prey. he can sort of understand it. It does satisfy you, though it's not as convenient. Those animals are hunted in the city if they're seen, not just by humans, but by the infected. So, there is that. It's a bit more of a trip, but one she is capable of making. Deku turning and asking Nedre, exactly, if she'd be willing to stay here and handle things at UA. Since he does have a lot to do. Asking exactly if Mina has been acting strange. Hmm? Not really. Though she has talked about a few things. You know, setting a lot of stuff up. She talked about a bonfire the other day, but not really too sure how that would work. I don't know either. Though, has she been stable? She hasn't been unstable. As far as I've seen, she's still trying to gather her thoughts. You have to think, though, how long has it been since she's felt like this? You told me she just seemed, I don't know, jittery? Was that the right word? Kind of. She was more hysterical, though. Constantly muttering, constantly doing something else, not sitting still, and just trying to just repeat things out loud. As far as I can tell, she seems a lot more stable. Though I want a second opinion. Yeah, I'd say you're right about her, though. She could be an asset. Though, what are you planning? A show of force? A way that the military knows they're not the only people out there that have power. They have weapons. We can take them. Though, there does mean quite a bit of things. If I want a proper show of force, I'll need something else. You want to find Dame? No, that's another dangerous thing. I still don't have a full grasp on it. I've gone to one of those cities, but One for All and I aren't exactly cohesive together yet. I mean, exerting that much force? Deku, thinking back about what he did inside one of those training cities. I mean, yeah, he went there to test out the power, see what he could do. It's been his little spot to explore. Not a lot of people are there. There are infected there, and signs of former human habitation, though another test might be required. Go there and use One for All. Understand the power more. In this, it does mean quite a bit to Deku. Currently, him going to stand up and think, beginning to understand his power, feeling it flow through his body. Currently, him opening his eyes for his turn, and his eyes, they do just shine with a bit of a glow. Nedre staring at Deku, who does go to turn, just simply staring at her, before he has to bring his hands up and think about it. He's unsure. He's trying to use as little as possible. Regulation? Maybe. Not possible? Not yet? Okay. He'll definitely need something to show the military. It's complicated. He'll have to exert a certain amount of force. Show them what he can do. Right. This does give him an idea, though. Currently, Deku trying to focus on the power again, feeling it disband before he does a turn. nodding to Nedre before he is to jump off, currently making his way towards the dam. And we do cut back over to Bakugo. Bakugo and Stain, they encountered each other. And Stain, he was a bit more intrigued about what they could find. Bakugo tried to talk about it with him, about how things are out here, how things seem to be. They need to go off of a lot more information. It's gonna sound risky, but he wants to stay out here. He wants to move. Try to get in the mindset of a survivor. Know what they encounter from day-to-day life. And Stain, he does pay attention to Bakugo. His group is one of those that they do have smaller safe houses. Though, they try and move in between them. Not stay at one or the other. They're always together. Small knit and close knit like a family. Hell, know them like the back of your hand. And know the back of your hand like you fucking know them. Make sure your gear is clean and in top condition. If it's not, scavenge for more. Find something else to use. Improvise, adapt, and manage. That is what his group is all about. Together they work like a well-oiled machine. And Stain, he appreciates that about his group. They don't question him, because they've been kept alive by his tactics. I mean, some of them knew him from days after the infection. Some of them know him from weeks. But all of them have one thing in common. They're still alive. He's made sure of that. They've questioned him and been proven wrong. And he's been proven time and time again to be a fit leader. And that Bakugo does try to express to Stain. And Stain does try to give Bakugo a little bit of advice. Out here in the city, it's dangerous. He remembers the first time they encountered the mutates. So, he's got to understand. If he really does want to try and spend time out here, he's got to understand this. Trusting people gets you killed. Does he really think that if it does come down to it, he can kill a human? A crazy is one thing. You know they're too far gone. But does he truly believe he can pull a trigger on a person? And what exactly would he do if he also knew that person? It's highly unlikely. Lots of people died. But say you know that person. Could you put a gun in their face and kill? Especially if they try and threaten you first. And Bakugo quietly sits there driving. The hum of the engine soft. Thinking about it in his mind. Exactly who might be on the end of that barrel? Deku? He was a bastard. But he was a friend. He was a friend. Could he kill a friend? All of them might have this fucking infection in their bodies. And then there's a thought that does go across his mind. One that is make Bakugo's blood run a little cold. And Stain, he does a turn. Seeing Bakugo's face turn very serious. Wondering exactly what crossed his mind. And Bakugo does get a pull to a stop. Currently them getting out as Stain does a pull one of his knives and begin to look around. Currently going to toss it through the air and stab it through the head of an infected. Pulling his sword and beginning to move. Currently going to blitz one of the other ones and slicing the top of their head off. Turning and stabbing through the bottom of the throat and impaling one through the top of the skull. Before he has to pull it back down and turn, grabbing his knives and going to toss three through the air and stab the others. And they're actually Bakugo, who does get out of the car and look around, seeing something affected and bringing up a pistol. Currently thinking about pulling the trigger as he does a turn back to his knife, pulling it and going to step forwards. Currently, going to stab one of them in the head before he does a pull the knife out and turn, throwing his foot out and smashing one of them directly in the legs, turning and leaping backwards. One grabbing Bakugo by the arm and biting into May's bite-proof vest, or bite-proof jacket. Currently, Bakugo turning and going to throw his hand out, his glove smashing their head as they go crumbling down to the right. Bakugo quickly moving down and impaling the head before going to turn, looking at the infected crawling towards him as he starts to reach up for Bakugo's leg, bringing his foot up and smashing it down into the skull. Before he gets a turn and look at Stain. And Stain does a look at the building that does appear to be empty, thinking about what might have happened. As there is where they're going to walk up and see a body lying at the front door. And Stain does a turn and bring his hand down at the doormat. Him going to inspect the blood, which is him bringing his fingers up. It's a few hours old. How do you know? Not fully dry, but it's definitely crusty. Along with that, smell that? Not really. I know. That's why. Fresh blood has a different smell. This clearly isn't it. It's older. Along with that, there's something else here. Stronger. Right. That was my main concern. Think it's fresh infected? Not likely. Though, I definitely say to hold your breath. Bakugo walking through the front door. Currently, him going to bring his hand up and go to grab his gun. Currently, him pulling a rifle that does have a suppressor on the end of it. And he does go to turn on the flashlight that is duct taped on the front of it. Before he does begin to make his way into the apartment. Now, Bakugo does begin to clear the bottom floor. Him looking around as the building, it does seem to be a little empty. Currently them walking over and beginning to go up the stairs. Since the elevator, yeah, they don't want to tell anything that they're here yet. Unless they're sure it's clear. And Bakugo, he does bring his hand up, staring at the wall, which is covered in blood. You alright? Shh. Quiet. You hear something? No. Though, look at this. Bakugo motioning with the front of his gun. The flashlight showing off the wall covered in stains staring at this. There's marks on the wall. There's blood. And then they go to see the body. The person has their throat ripped out, their tongue pulled through the hole in their esophagus, and their arms, they're missing. Though this does concern them. Currently the creature going to turn its head, and Bakugo, he's a bit more unnerved by that. Bringing his hand down and going to turn, making sure that the hallway is clear, moving forwards and pulling his knife, stabbing it into its head as Stain does see the unnerved look on Bakugo's face. Currently, him motioning for Stain to go forward. And Stain, he has to pull his sword, along with one of his knives. Him beginning to step forwards and clear the hallway. Him heading down the hall to a door that's closed. And Bakugo, he does go do the exact same thing. Currently the two looking at the doors as Bakugo's door is open. Light stripping inside before he does step in and turn. Looking around and not seeing anything. Before flicking on the flashlight, or flicking on the light in the room, and it does light up. Bakugo staring at the small room. As there's... oh god. Stain opening the door. And over Stain is going to open the door, he does begin to spot some infected, beginning to take them out, as Bakugo does gonna move in. And people, yeah, they've been taken out. Though this doesn't look like the military. I mean, fucking crazies wouldn't even be able to do this. It's horrifying. Stain walking into the apartment and seeing the room. Currently, Stain turning and looking at the wall, which does have a body pinned to it. Currently, the person sitting there as they are lacking skin on their face. And the face, it currently does go to sit there on the table, along with a few others, along with something else carved directly onto the table. And this message, it's. No, no, no. Him gonna turn and telling Bakugo about how they need to get what they can, then go. Whatever's been here, it's gone. They'll find the people who did this. This is barbaric. I'm gonna turn, beginning to look around for some supplies. And the two, they're to pack up and leave. Currently heading a little further into the city. And we do currently have Deku. Deku, he was leaping from building to building, heading out of the city and trying to find where they can land. Currently, him smashing down as we get to the outskirts, he looked up. Currently, him leaping through the air and going to try and go down the road, further and further and further, before eventually he began just sit there in the woods, staring at the road that does lead up to the dam, though no one has been driving on it. From what he can tell, there's no one coming up or down it. And then again, it's the only way he can really see. If he needs to, he can circle back and try to find another road, another place. And Deku, he does begin his stakeout. Nothing does come by. However, there is where a convoy does come back in from the city. Them going to turn onto a road and then begin to drive down it. And Izuku, he does begin to look at the time, looking up in the air and seeing that the sun, it's going over and down. Sunset. Okay, so that does mean something. Then again, she stayed the night. Maybe he can hear heartbeats in the distance. Okay. But if he does head further up there, up the road, it'll mean a lot. He'll be seen, on full display. Well, guess it's time for an introduction. Let them know he's here. Definitely let them know that he's here. This going through his mind. And we do currently have the convoy, which does go to pull to the main gate, beginning to go through the process of re-entering. The driver of the first vehicle going to step out and go to confirm a few things, talking about the areas where they were today. And Deku, he is able to pick up on a few things. It's distant, but he can hear them talking. And right now, he does a step out. Currently, somebody looking to see something in the distance. However, the sun's still going down, and it looks like something moving. Currently, them going to alert somebody as a spotlight is active. The lights around the front area begin to light up as Deku can see that beacon in the distance. A small little area. A place they built in front of a wall. They built a fortification. Huh. Well then. he's not going to go through the main gate. But clearly, this does mean it's going to be a little bit easier. And people, they just stare out, yelling about how there's somebody out in the distance, and how they can't get a proper sight on them. Currently, a rifle being pointed at Deku, and someone they to turn and give orders out to their men. If someone followed them out this far, then that means a few things. Currently, them trying to get more information. And when they do hear that this person's on foot, people, they get a little bit more on guard. If there's anything out here on foot that followed them, it shouldn't be human. I mean, if it is, then it's not anymore. They didn't see anyone behind them. They didn't hear any cars. I mean, they're miles from the city. So if that's the case, this thing, yeah, keep an eye on it. And currently they do have a beat on it. Currently, a light being shined at Deku as he has to move forwards, walking towards the fortification outside the dam. And people, they do take aim. Currently, somebody going to fire a shot as there's a ring out. And Deku, he does look up. Currently, him taking the shot directly in the shoulder. It going to bounce off his skin as Deku. He does going to feel his entire shoulder vibrate from the attack. Him still moving forwards as he's beginning to start sprinting. And people, they do begin to watch this. Currently, them shouting out that it's still coming. Now, people do begin to fire upon Izuku, as right now we do cut to a perspective. Somebody, they were getting ready. Their hands were shaking and they were hearing automatic gunfire from the turrets above. And those things, they've seen what they do to ordinary people, things that used to be people. However, right now, they're hearing those fucking ammo boxes being emptied and those casings hit the ground. But they're still firing. Wherever it is still coming. And currently, there is a massive boom. As right now the wall is blown open and someone, they do come smashing directly through the barricade they've built. The concrete being sent flying as someone to their right immediately is hit with a piece of shrapnel. The concrete flying on their shoulder as they go falling out of cover, screaming out in pain as there is Deku, who currently does a turn and look around. The person watching as the moment the barricade was broken through, Deku, he lunged for somebody who was on a turret, one of the Humvee guns. Them watching Deku go flying through the air as the Humvee opened fire on him. Him taking multiple rounds to the body as he is come flying down and sinking his hands directly in their shoulders. Them being pulled out and smashing onto the ground. People firing at Deku as he sunk his teeth directly down into the man's neck and ripped out part of his throat. Him going to turn and stand back up. Somebody going to put a shotgun directly at Deku, firing a shot into the side of his face for Deku's turn. Them slam firing it as Deku hears a grab the weapon and smack them across the face with it. Somebody watching as Deku's eyes, they're beginning to regenerate. Along with the fact that right now his face is covered in blood and all they do see is the bloody skull. Him going to grab the weapon, pull it out of their hand, and sink his fist directly through their stomach. Him going to rush forwards and go to claw out the person's throat. And Deku, he has a turn, screaming out as people, they do begin to have their attention focused on this. Somebody on the wall above watching the fortification they made outside. And they do see this creature. Currently it lunging through the air and smashing into somebody else who is on another turret. Currently, Deku smashing onto somebody and then sinking his teeth directly into their throat again. Him ripping out the entire esophagus and then bringing his hand up. Him pressing down on their skull, making sure they won't turn into him, into one of his species. And Deku, he does that turn, currently rolling as somebody did a fire directly in the dead body of their former ally. Deku throwing the body towards the person as they're struck by it, sent flying backwards. Him getting back on his feet as the wounds in his chest they're beginning to heal. And people do watch the holes in Deku's forearm that took the torrent fire beginning to close rapidly. Him standing there as he's to bring his hands up, and everyone they do to watch this weird mist around him begin to manifest. Them going to shoot out of his arms as Deku he does gonna have Black Whip manifest. And this immediately makes the person standing there have their face drop. Them turning and ordering somebody to grab them a weapon. Since this creature, it has a quirk. And that has them very scared. Now, Deku is doing one simple thing. He's ripping and tearing into the people who are guarding this small area. Currently, him going to turn and have somebody be wrapped up in the tendrils. Them screaming out in pain as Deku just have one of the tendrils shoot directly into the person's brain, killing them instantly. Turning as somebody does come rushing towards him with another weapon. Him going to turn and rush forwards, bringing his head up and grabbing their head, immediately slamming their head to the ground and taking them out, turning and rushing forwards. Somebody, they tried to run, but Deku, he was able to grab them and smash them onto the ground. Before he brought his head down, and the person, they swore they heard a growl. Before Deku, he expressed, he wants them all to know. What are you? Shh. All of you are going to die anyways. Leave. It's a warning. It's Deku hearing a sound. Before, he is sent flying and covered in flames, smashing onto one of the Humvees and rolling off. Currently, Deku feeling a lot of pain as he does bring his hands down to get back up. Currently, him feeling his right hand as he's going to fully stand back up and turn, looking up to see where that sound came from. As the person, they do to stare at Deku. And Deku, he currently is covered in flames. Him trying to pat them out as he is being a roll. Now, Deku does get to bring up his other hand. It currently beginning to heal and regenerate, letting his bones crack back into place before they do get better. And he has to stare up at the person. Before he has to bring his hands up and go to suck in our breath, letting out a visceral roar that does go to echo through the entire area. And people, they get to stare directly at Izuku. This person staring down at him as he has to bring his hands up, and they do a turn, yelling at their comrades to fall back, and it's in Molotovs over the wall. This thing doesn't like fire. And people, they do understand. Currently, grenades being lobbed over the wall as Deku, he does also begin to see people try to attack. Now, people in the remaining area, they're screaming out and yelling. And Deku, after the first Molotov wasn't flying over the wall, he brought his hands up. Him using Black Whip to whip it out of the air as the area is covered in flames. Him turning and going to try and back away. Moving out of the area and rushing over to one of the Humvees. Currently, him grabbing it with his hands and ripping off the doors. Before, he does try to focus. Focus on one for all. Think about this ability. Learn how to use it. Understand it. And Izuku, he does begin to feel strange. Also, feeling a bit of a crackle. And he does a turn, watching as the Molotovs are throwing themselves over the wall, along with hearing grenades. Now, he has a turn hearing the air, before he has to throw his hand upwards and to throw it directly to the left. Him going to send a massive air burst as they do all going to break. The fire going out immediately, and the grenades going to be lobbed up higher into the air towards the upper walls, going to explode closer to the inhabitants still on top of it. And this does alarm many of them. A lot of people also feeling that strange gust of wind, almost knocking them over, along with their lights beginning to be sent flying. A lot of damage being caused. And Deku, He doesn't hear anything after that. All he hears is chaos. All he hears is screaming from the other side of that fence. Right now, that is it. That's all he hears. As I turn back, currently going to take a whiff of the air and smell the supplies. Him going to being to grab a lot of things. Running over and going to grab the doors to another Humvee, ripping them off, and then beginning to grab things from inside. Before he's going to walk over and make his way into the other Humvee, pulling open the doors as somebody they are hiding in the back seat. And the moment they do to see Izuku pull open those doors, they stare at him in horror. Before Deku brings his hand up and Dorky grabs them by the ankle. Them being pulled out as the person they do to hit the ground. And they do go to try and turn to move. However, Deku holding onto their ankle, they're not getting away. He has an ironclad grip, and they are terrified. He's soaked and covered in blood. Along with that, they felt this Humvee shake like they were being mortared. For the love of God, what the fuck is this thing? And Deku, he has to bring his foot down. Currently, him smashing it down onto their back and pinning them to the floor. Before he does I tell them, he's taking their stuff. That's fine. Please just let me go. You don't understand. Please. My daughter, please. And Deku, he does look down. And it's him releasing his grip on their leg. And the person, they do get a turn. Their eyes full of tears. And Deku does get to bend down, asking one question. How old is their daughter? She just turned 4. Listen, don't kill me, please. Him bringing his hand up. Before telling them, they get to live. Someone needs to tell the story. Along with that, let them know. All these supplies are now his. Deku going to turn, jumping up into the air and landing on one of the Humvees he ripped the doors off of. The person watching Deku bend down and begin to grab into the metal before beginning to pull it up and ripping out the turret that does sit on the Humvee. The person a lot more alarmed. Before Deku, he does get a turn and walk over. Currently, him ripping open the trunk to the Humvee he's taking. Him going to stuff the turret inside and begin to pull away the scrap metal he won't need, since that will get in the way. Turning and looking at the other Humvee, thinking about that gun, but turning back to the supplies he does still need to get. And the person, they watch Deku begin to move with a lot of speed. Currently, him looking a bit more like a blur. As he does, then gonna turn and grab something. Currently, him making his way over and ripping open the door before climbing inside, and the Humvee does get a start. Him going to put in the first gear and begin to drive away. And the person, they stare on at that monster. That thing that just spared their life? Life? He's alive. He's alive. That thing showed mercy? It talked. It fucking talked. For all that is holy. This on their mind. And people, they're still worried. They don't know what's happening on the other side of that wall, but it went quiet after that strange burst. I mean, some thought All Might was on the other side of that wall. Some thought it was another pro entirely, something else, but this thing, it's gone. And that it currently is on someone's mind. Them going to look down over their barricade. and see what's happening. The wall is still here. I mean, they're still defended. Everything they've got, it's all right. But then there's this small little area in front of them. The concrete defenses are busted. I mean, the fortifications, the wall, there's fire, there's bodies, there's damage. And this, it does another person. Them currently pissed. Because that thing had a reason for coming here. It wanted stuff. But why the hell would a smart zombie need things? We need to find out what was taken and find out why it was so important. And we do currently have Deku, who does go to shift in the next gear and turn, looking at a crate that does currently sit on the passenger seat. Him pulling up one of Momo's bottles of wine and staring at this. Crate's half empty. Huh. Weird. Him gonna bring his hand up as he's a pull the cork out with his mouth. This going to bubble as he's a spit it out and then give it a whiff. And he doesn't smell any blood. Okay, so this must be one of the uninfected bottles. It's a bit weird though. Some of these supplies, they aren't affected. They're not marked the way they talked about marking them. The military knows some of these supplies, they mark them as not their own. Though, that's another thing. Canned goods they can't mark. At least not with an X or at least some sort of symbol. Something simple or basic. But then again, that raises a number of questions. They talked about hiding medical supplies and ammunition. Food was what they provide the military. That was it. People must have stopped. Thought it was too risky? Suspicious. Definitely too suspicious. This on Deku's mind. Him turning off the headlights as he does stare at the road. Currently, him feeling a bit more like a beacon. Though he does start sipping from the bottle, wondering about exactly how many groups stopped their little idea. Winter is starting. When the snow rolls in, those people will be stuck inside. They've got the robots. And without manpower, they're going to fuck up. Without resources, they're going to have to ration. If Izuku's correct, then they'll have to resort to desperate measures. Send someone out in the middle of winter is practically suicide when they live that far away from the city. Relocating? It's an option. Or, well, splitting the group. It's an idea. Send some more people out into the city. They live there and run supplies from the dam to the dam from their safe house. I mean, up next would just be tackling that. It'd be an option. This heading through Deku's mind, as right now he does continue to drive into the night, and his wounds, they're still healing. Izuku staring at a lot of this, along with sipping the wine. Him getting a taste for it and being a little more surprised, since he can actually get the flavor of it in his mouth. It's odd. Doesn't taste too different. Then again, he doesn't think he's drinking this before. Drunk this before? Who gives a fuck? Him knocking it back and taking another drink. As right now, he has rolled into the city and making his way towards UA. A lot of people hearing the loud engine in the distance. and being a lot more aware. And we do currently have Bakugo Katsuki. Bakugo made it to UA. He was able to get into contact with Mei, along with Chizuki. He also saw Mina. It was quite unnerving to be this close to her, especially seeing how casually the other two had their guard down. But Mei reported in. She's getting operations set up at UA. And when things get better, they can probably send a robot out to the manor. I mean, it'll be a challenge, don't get her wrong, but if she does get the right material, she can do a few things. I mean, her and Melissa can fabricate a way to put guns on it. She knows how risky that does sound, but having them be melee combatants, yeah, let's just say she doesn't want to be the one who has to hose it off every week or day. And Bakugo, this does kind of get a laugh out of him, though, if not half heartedly. Now, there is where Bakugo, he left. Him and Stain trying to find a nice, safe place to set up for the night. Since Bakugo, he needs to know more about what's happening in the city, find out about these disappearances, and stop them. He's reluctant on it. Mei and Chizuki are still alive. But what about Nedre? Nedre was out scavenging, so there's that. If he does see her, he'll have to talk to her. Tell her what he's doing. He'll find out what's happening inside the city and try to put a stop to it if he can. And if they do need to expand operations, they will. She might not be opposed to it. And they'll also compromise by going ahead with her plan. The military needs to fall. He understands that. He just wishes it didn't have to come to this. Now, currently, Deku, here's it'll roll up. Hours after Bakugo left the grounds. And people, they do to see a Humvee as Deku, here's they get out. Currently, him, a little happy and a little bit more pep in his step, expressing about the supplies he's brought for all of his friends. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.